Okay, so welcome back. Meanwhile, I've actually allowed the proxy to run. I mean, I've shut it down, and now we're going to go ahead and begin specifying what type of a proxy it is and the IP address and the port. But I did actually just let it run for a while to prove a point. And here you go. These are the actual Wireshark traces. Uh, I have actually started receiving connections, and then I began tracing the IP addresses. And I don't know, one was from Canada, the other one was from Taiwan, and this is actually the second run which I made. There was the first run, and during the first run, I had way more IP addresses connecting directly to me. So that was kind of a weird experience. I actually closed the firewall and took the proxy down. Anyway, my point being is that if you this is basically how people create honeyspots, and then they track you online because you're using their proxy, so they can see what it is that you are doing, and they can see where you're coming from. They can see where you're coming from and where you are going. So, that being said, it is far more difficult to actually hide your proxy as opposed to just the need to advertise it, because you will, if you run an open, transparent public proxy, you will be picked up. Like there's no going around it. You will be picked up. Like, there are so many scanners running out there, they will figure out that you're using it. One of the countermeasures that you can enact is change the default port from 3128 to something at random. Then again, that's not going to help you that much. The thing that will probably help you the most is to actually set up authentication for your proxy, but that is not really the objective of today's exercise. The objective of today's exercise is to create a proxy honeypot through which people will connect, and where you will be able to follow up on the traffic. You'll be able to see what is going on. But I am not going to actually be recording anyone's traffic because I'm not interested in anyone's traffic. I will record my own traffic, and then I will show you that. If somebody at random connects during the session, I had nothing to do with it really, and nor do I particularly care for their traffic. I'm not gonna gather. I'm not gonna mess around with that. I'm just gonna mess around with my own information that goes through my own proxy. Anyway, let's go back to the vim slash etsy proxychains.conf, and squid3 by default is http, and then you type in the IP address of the server. You can just type in ifconfig and you will get the IP address here. So just copy paste it, and then the port which you configured, which is 3128. Now, before you actually start this, let me just right quit. Well, I don't actually need to write anything because I've already written it. And this is to be edited with a root user, not with a regular user. I just wanted to show you the entry. Anyway, there are a few minor modifications which you will need to make. So you see, I installed T-Shark so I can actually monitor traffic. I will show you how to do that as well. But let me just, I've actually even deleted the rule in the firewall in order to actually close it. Let me just show you. Nmap 46.101.153.159. Yep, there we go. So the port is not even visible. It's completely closed. It's gone, non-existent. I don't really care about that. If I do IP tables -L, you will see that the chain input actually doesn't contain entries, so the default policy will be to actually drop the packets, unless specified differently by some particular service or something like that. Anyway, let me just go ahead and so we don't need to actually start it. I'm just looking for the config file. Okay, so vim/etc/squid3/squidconf. Go into this file, and here we're gonna go ahead and enact some changes. So the first thing that we're gonna be looking is the HTTP access. So just press escape, /, and type in HTTP_access and press enter. And then that will search for this string, and then press N for the next one and go next, 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 next. Okay, so this is the first line which you will need to change. There's going to be a hash here in front of this, so you just need to remove that hash. So just completely remove the hash, and it says deny request on to certain unsafe ports, which is basically if it's port 80 or something like that, the connections are gonna get dropped, which is not something that we want. So go ahead and remove that. And then we go down, HTTP access allow, deny, just leave that as it is. Manager, that's fine. Next, and okay, so at 15% of the file, you'll get like HTTP_access allow all. Okay, before you actually do this, or you can just, it's far better to just follow along and not actually do what I'm doing here. The default one will be deny all. Now, when you put allow all, this is a universally stupid thing to do. To basically allow all sorts of traffic to actually come in and go out, which is like yuck. But that's basically what a free, transparent open proxy is, and then people will be able to connect and work on all sorts of ports and do all sorts of things. So keep in mind that you will be held accountable and responsible for the things that are done from your proxy. So I'm doing. I like to think that I know what I'm doing, but I mean, I don't like to claim that I'm 100% certain at all times. However, I know for a fact that this is universally a stupid thing to do, but this is a method for creating a proxy honeypot, and I need to do it in order to show it to you. I'm doing it in a controlled environment. I'm going to do it for a very short amount of time, and I am going to monitor my own traffic. So I don't really have a lot to worry about because I will take the server down. I will destroy the server afterwards. But if you leave it running and if you have paid for it, you will be responsible for the traffic that goes through it. Keep it in mind. It's a serious thing, not a joke. Just please be aware of that fact. Okay, anyway, moving on. We're gonna go ahead and write quit, and then we're gonna go ahead and start. So systemctl start squid3.service. I've started, and let's go ahead and type in proxy chains for Firefox. By the way, make sure that all the instances of Firefox are closed before you start this. If they're not, this will not work. All right, Firefox. And let me just go ahead and minimize this, and you can see that I am immediately accessing my own domain, and you can see how fast is it actually going when you know that the proxy is 100% functional. And now on the remote system, type in apt-get install tshark, and it's already installed here, so no problems there. And then type in the following command. I will explain the Wireshark in more detail later on when we actually perform packet capture and analysis. But for the time being, you can just type in tshark and then specify the interface and then specify the filter here. So TCP port 3128 of our proxy, and press enter. And yep, this is going to show you what's going on. So one of these is my IP address and the other one is actually from the server. So 101 is from the server and 4636161110 is my own. So you can see there is a lot of communication going on. If I go here and type in what is my IP address, it says here that I am in Frankfurt, Hessen, Germany. So 46.101.153.159. That is exactly the IP address of my proxy, and that is the IP address that I am actually getting there. I can go to a more specific place, and you see it's gonna actually share location. Not now. So it's just knows that I'm here by the IP address, because IP addresses have been indexed, and by the IP address there's a geo IP database lookup where you can find the approximate location of the IP address. ISP DigitalOcean, so that's where it's being hosted. This is the city, region, Germany. Okay, so let's go ahead and check something else out. DNS leak test. Let's go through the standard test. And okay, so I'm using the Google DNS servers, and it's throwing me onto Netherlands. So this is fine. I have managed to change my IP once again by using my own proxy. I've also changed the DNS servers, and the traffic is like blah 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 somewhere going through here through this proxy system. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and close the browser, stop the capture here, clear the screen. Then I can go ahead and continue the capture. If you let it run for like an hour or something like that, you are bound to see here output here. People will start connecting to you. Just a matter of time, really. So make sure that you are supervising what is happening, and once you're done, make sure to actually shut down the service, and if necessary, implement firewall rules to actually close the port. But as soon as you shut down the service, it's going to be fine, because there will be nothing listening on the port, so it won't be open at all. Anyway, in the follow-up tutorial, I'm gonna go ahead and mess around with this a little bit more, and we'll see how it works. Oh, by the way, down below you can see that the dynamic chain is working. I could have placed a strict chain here without any problems, so I am able to dial the proxy server without any problems again. It's very fast. It's working just fine. And some of the things are denied, but that's okay. All the sites have loaded without any problems. One more thing. If you see, for example, that port 80, it says instead of okay, denied, and port 443, it says okay, that just means that you didn't configure the option where I've shown you not to enforce the port 443 in the squid proxy config file. Basically, if there are any other ports listed here where it says denied, if some ports are allowed and some ports are like okay and other ports are denied, you know that the problem lies within the port configuration of the squid proxy config file. There are a lot of things that you can do in that file. The file has more than 5,000 lines of code written in it, so you can implement a download of rules. You can specify that you can connect only from that the connections will be accepted on the proxy only from one IP address, that the connections will, I don't know, like require a username and a password, and that they will be permitted only on certain ports, etc., etc., etc. But as I said, this is not the objective of today's exercise. The objective of today's exercise is to create a honeypot from where the information can be extracted. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and bid you farewell, and we shall see each other in the follow-up.